Yeah, we were shooting seismic in Nigeria, and we, everybody, it was all going well, and the shot hole shouldn't have been drilled where it was. It was underneath a 440 kV pipe transmission line. The wires came out, wrapped themselves around, and blew all the equipment up. And we had 4 of the local labour were sitting on the cable, and they came out and they got welts all underneath their backside. But safety was there. We haven't mentioned it. You mentioned it, but the transition from 70s, 80s, 90s in safety is fantastic. It was shocking when I started. You just put people in back of Bedford trucks. You put 20 local labour in the back of trucks, no straps. You put them in boats and no flotation equipment. I think that is, as well as the technology, the safety side of things is really increased well. It has, yes.
So you think perhaps the advances in safety are one of the key advances in the industry that perhaps you've seen. What about the technological advances?
It's very transitional. So the advance from going to analog to digital changed things fantastic. Because when it was digital, you just had tapes. They wouldn't last long, so you had to keep cleaning them, replace them in data storage. You had masses of them. We would be sending about 8-10 boxes of tapes on a plane every week to go to a processing centre. So going from analog to digital was great. Increasing the fold of data. So this is 70s, in the 70s. Then the 80s, we got into interactive machines and shooting 3D. Fantastic changes. And of course, towards the end of the 80s, we had GPS came in, so the accuracy on your surveying was fantastic. You could go virtually anywhere in the world. And then, as you went into the 90s, we had all the derivative data that we could use. So, the VPVS, amplitudes, all those started coming in the 90s. So the way the technology's changed is fantastic. I don't know where the next bit's going to happen, but you look at acquisition now, you don't have cables, you just put a little node in the ground, and the spacing between your groups, which used to be 25 meters, is now down to 5 meters. Right. So your resolution is going to be fantastic.
So talking about the GPS coming in the 80s and 90s, a little side story is, before the first Gulf War, everybody that was surveying knew that there was something happening because they used to selectively degrade the signal for the public.
Yeah.
It got turned off 3 days before the Americans invaded because they didn't have enough military grade ones, so they were just using standard ones.
Yeah, the US wouldn't give us the P code.
Yeah.
There was a P, so our accuracy was about 10 meters.
Yeah, but that's why we use offset stations. Yeah. Remember?
Yeah. If you could just triangulate a bit.
Yeah.
But then they gave us the P code. We got down to meters of accuracy, which is great. In the 80s, when we were doing ray path modelling to find out, we had to draw by hand.
Yep.
And then the computers started being able to do it in about 84. You could do ray path modelling on a computer. And now, with so much data, it's easy to do.
Well, it's actually the prevalence of GPUs, which people don't think about. So we've taken the gamers computing system, and we've used that because they can do lots of things together.
Yeah, I think the seismic industry or the exploration industry has some of the biggest uses of the computers in the world, and certainly the technological advances in just compute power has been quite a game changer.
I look back at the seismic interpretation and the grounding we older people have in contouring and making sure your throws on the faults work correctly and with geological and how that's disappeared a bit now, and I think it's something that people need to think about. But computers can do virtually anything, but some of the things you still got to have a bit of geology in there. And I used to love contouring. It was therapeutic, and I used to love putting the contours together. But now you don't have to do it.
Friday afternoon
we'd do contouring, and then we'd have to fix it again
Monday morning. Oh, yeah, that's standard, but not anymore. I guess one of the things that you think about in retrospect, I didn't at the time, is how management trusts you. I mean, with money. I mean, drilling a well, if you nominate a well, and it could be 10 million, could be $100 million. It's your piece of work that you've done, and you've got to say that. And if it's a failure, they don't actually sack you straight away. You know, they'll got to
wait a month.
Whilst the industry in itself has been up and down all the time, and there's always a threat when the oil price goes down that you'll lose your job. Very few people lost their job if they got their interpretation a little bit wrong. And the fact that they trust you with that amount of expenditure is I don't know any other industry that does it.
No.
Yeah, we all make mistakes.
Well, not necessarily mistakes. You think about
interpretation.
You're doing remote sensing. You're trying to find something 3,000 metres underground. So modern day, say in the Gulf of Mexico, you're drilling down to 3,000 metres in 3,000 metres of water.
Salt.
Yeah, through salt. So you're trying to find. So they can't really say, "Oh, you've done a dod job, go," because anybody who's interpreted in salt knows that all four of us here will have completely different interpretation of the same piece of data.